This break is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook, head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker. What's up, everybody, and welcome to this break, this special break. Today, I'm Gary Gannon, this is Gamebreaker.tv, and today we are joined by Blizzard's lead quest designer, Mr. Dave Kosak. Dave, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. No problem at all.
So first up, the 5.2 Thunder King trailer dropped this morning. Great trailer, really epic. It's getting everybody really excited around the office and things. Tell me a little bit about the poem choice and going for this. A lot of people were kind of taken back. I mean, it kind of created a lot of drama, but how did that all come together?
Well, thank you very much. I wrote the poem with the help of the quest team who helped me with a few rhymes, and we actually, we noodled with that poem for a long time. It was originally 3 verses with four-line stanzas, and then if you listen to the music, we worked really closely with the music team as well. The music has like 4 musical phrases before it gets into that transition where the Thunder King is dead, and we thought, wow, we really need 4 lines, four stanzas of 3 lines each, and I had to go back to the drawing board and rewrite everything. And I'm really proud of the result because I think it has a different meter. It sounds good. It's there's exactly 8 syllables per line, by the way. I think it's iambic octameter if you are a poetry nerd. Finally got to use my English degree in game design. Very exciting. But we wanted to go with a poem because, many of our trailers have, the bad guy sort of yells at the player and taunts you. And that's cool because then you get to learn a lot about the bad guy. But we wanted something here that felt very Pandaren, and we have Lord Walker Show. We have this wonderful voice actor in Jim Cummings, and we wanted to do something that just felt uniquely Pandaren. And we suggested writing a poem, and sort of, it's kind of this ancient poem that Cho has sort of rewritten the last couple of verses to kind of turn it into a call to arms now that Thunder King is back, and it told the story of the Thunder King with this kind of cadence that really just builds up, and I love how it turns out because it's uniquely Pandaren, and that was really our goal.
And it was, and I think we were looking at all the comments this morning from the trailer, and that was one of the first thing I think a lot of viewers even clued in on. It said it felt very Pandaren, like it really nailed the expansion. So I think a lot of people feel the same way.
That's excellent. That's excellent feedback.
Yeah, how did you choose what went in there? I mean, there's a huge amount of content and story in patch 5.2. It must have been insanely hard just whittling that down.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge raid, and we figured, players, if they played through Kunlai Summit and some of our other things, they might know who the Thunder King is, but otherwise, we really need to sort of clarify that. And so it really was about, it's kind of a stanza about, hey, this was a long time ago, and then a stanza about like, here's this horrible guy and he was super powerful, and then it just stands about, look at all the things, all the majesty that he built, but all the sort of horror that went with it, and then a call to arms. And we actually had some lines written, and they followed the same meter as the call to arms at the end. The Thunder King comes, the Thunder King comes. That we originally read over the raid footage, but we thought that footage was so good and so compelling, and those bosses were so awesome that we really didn't want to. It just took away. So we cut those verses out and just went with the last one. Storm the walls, the Thunder King, or I can't even remember the last one. The Thunder King comes. And I think that worked out good because then the raid footage sort of speaks for itself, and the music at that point is hitting a crescendo. It is always difficult to show, and I think the raid is so huge, and the interior is so grand of that palace, and you really only get hints of it in the trailer. So there's quite a lot that I think players will be pleasantly surprised by once they get in there.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are very much anticipating it now that they've seen this. So let me ask you this: what killed Lei Shen the first time around?
We specifically haven't said why he died. So you can probably presume old age. his time was up, because we didn't want to have him like killed by somebody, because then somebody would have been more powerful than Lei Shen. And so it's not clear. It's not clear in the trailer. It's not clear what happened to him, other than his time was over, and he got buried and couldn't lie summit.
All right, so you're leaving it at that, leaving us hanging. Okay. Also in the trailer, the Isle of Thunder. Looking at it, it looks like it's close enough for Cho to see. So how is it hidden from us when we discovered Pandaria? Was there some sort of mechanism in place, or
it's been on the map all along. It's been way in the northwest corner of the map. You can see a little chunk of land over there. And if you go to the very western edge of Townlong Steppes with your settings on Ultra, you can sort of see a blob in the distance. You can sort of see a landmass over there. So it's always been there. We just hadn't had a reason to go there yet until this patch. For the trailer, obviously, we wanted to make the island a little more. We kind of cheated and brought it closer so that Lorewalker Cho could see it. And you can see the towers in the distance. You can see the lightning. Which you can't really see in game. But it's been there. And some people, even when 5.0 launched, they're like, what is this island? What is this in the corner? Yeah, so.
Another thing that we see in the trailer is Lei Shen building up this huge wall, the Serpent Spine, with his poor Pandaren slaves.
Yep.
What is he trying to keep in, or maybe keep out?
Yeah, so one of the things that's on the 5.2 island, we have a lot more of those Lorewalker objects, those glowing scrolls that you can click on to collect. And when you collect enough scrolls, then you can go to Lorewalker Cho in the Seat of Knowledge, and he'll tell you the story. And so you can glean a little bit about the original purpose of the Mogu there. The Mantid were servants of an old god, the old god Yasiraj. And the Mogu were servants of the Titans. So way back in the day, kind of their original function was to fight Mantid and defeat the old god. And so in some respects, when the Thunder King comes to power, he kind of continues the original objective of the Titans. He sort of sees himself as carrying their legacy forward. And he builds a wall to protect the Veil from the Mantid and have a defense against the Mantid, and builds all these other these palaces and such. Yeah.
Was there any major significance to where it was positioned? Why it was positioned where it is?
The wall. Probably the main significance is that the Veil of Eternal Blossoms was originally a Pandaren. Or not Pandaren, a Titan, I don't know what you call it, sort of a petri dish of sorts, much like Sholazar Basin or Ungorio Crater that are already in the game. The Veil of Eternal Blossoms was another place where the Titans were experimenting with life. Oh, I had a sneeze, and then I just lost. Oh, that's the worst feeling. I was about to sneeze, and then it's gone. It'll hit me later. It's cash.
I think you do grapefruit. You just keep saying grapefruit. Also in the trailer, it shows the first boss of the instance, Jinrock, who apparently was a quest giver in the original Zul'Gurub, correct? So how did he get from northern eastern kingdoms to the Isle of Thunder? And
presumably on those giant Zandalari ships. I don't know if you've seen the giant Zandalari ship yet. There's one of them parked off the coast of the Isle of Thunder. In fact, actually, when you in the first few phases of the island, you'll see this enormous Zandalari ship. It circles the island and attacks your quest hub. So,
what did he do to get the Thunder King to give him his powers?
I don't think we've explicitly said. There's an interesting relationship between the Zandalari and the Mogu, in that the Mogu definitely, obviously, had a very close relationship with the ancient Zandalari Empire, and they're obviously buddy back in the day. And clearly, the Zandalari see them as potential allies now, and have taken the time to resurrect the Thunder King. But even after doing that for him, the Thunder King still sees himself as above the Zandalari, and says as much in the raid. I think when you clear out some of the Zandalari, he says, you swept the trash from my doorstep, but you'll go no farther. So there is kind of a tension between the Zandalari and the Mogu. Presumably, though, he's been sharing his power with the Zandalari to help defend his kingdom, and ultimately reconquer Pandaria and re-enslave Pandaria.
I mean, you say it's like tension, but I mean, ultimately, are the Zandalari basically trying to kill off the Mogu? I mean, wouldn't that be kind of like removing their last resort?
No, definitely not. They're trying to work with the Mogu, but it's clear that the Mogu look down on them, and they never quite get out of that.
Also, it seems like this is this the last major threat local to Pandaria? I guess my next question would be like, what's next after that? We've been told that the last boss would be Garrosh. Are you taking the fight away from that continent and going back to Azeroth in 5.4?
Yeah, much like 5.1, we're going to then really refocus on how Pandaria has changed the factions and what is happening with the rest of the world. So, yeah, I hate to spoil the patches going forward, but we're going to explore that in patch 5.3, and then there's definitely a raid on the way where there will be a coup for the Horde.
The dinosaur models, and a lot of people loving the dire horn, the sky screamer. Ian's blog says that they were brought to Pandaria by the Zandalari. Where did they dig those things up? Where did they come from?
Well, presumably there's a lot of dinosaurs on the islands in the sea because the Zandalari are no strangers to taming them. Ordinary trolls, which are kind of an offshoot of Zandalari culture. I mean, we've shown them training and using raptors before. And so we thought, well, Zandalari, it's kind of the proto-troll culture. They would go big. It wouldn't just be raptors. They would be taming everything. So presumably those islands in the South Sea where the Zandalari come from are teeming with dinosaurs. And we get to see one of those that's been lost for quite some time. The Isle of Giants is off the coast of Kunlai. And it's nothing but dinosaurs. And the Zandalari are bringing them aboard those enormous ships to the Isle of Thunder as well, so you can see them at the camp there.
All right, this next one. A ton of people have asked us. We need you to settle this once and for all. We've had six. We've had six already. Mm-hmm. Where's the seventh Shah?
Yeah,
or is there not one? Or is there not one at all?
Yasiraj had 7 heads, and we know like the heads in the lore. It says that one breathed love, inhaled love, and breathed hate, and another breathed peace and exhaled violence. So 6 of them. What about the 7th head? What was there? That's something that will be revealed.
Will be revealed.
Yep.
No scoop. All right. This next one is a viewer question.
I love teasing you. Listen to that.
Obviously.
That's terrible. But yeah. I love that the patch 5.2 comes out and the questions aren't about 5.2. They're like, what's next? I'm like, come on, guys.
Hey, it's gamers. Gamers always want to know. It's like, game comes out. When's the expansion?
Well, it means it means we're doing something right. If everybody's looking ahead and they're excited to see what's next, that means we're doing good at building up the story. So
and I think the way this trailer is done with the poem and stuff, it's so intriguing and it makes you really, your imagination start going and really start asking a lot more questions than even a normal trailer. Like you said, it's really talking at you. So I think that's why a lot of these questions started coming up. It's like everybody's got the intrigue of like, well, what's going to happen? Where is this going to lead? This next one I've got here, this is definitely a big one. This is a viewer question. This is a total red shirt guy moment right here.
Awesome.
Raiden Soundfile says, wait, I am not your enemy. Goes on and says, I do not believe that you can correct this doomed course, but you have earned the right to try. And Rathion's legendary audio shares says, we have fallen. We must rebuild the final Titan. Do not forget. It's gone. I do not remember any of it. None of them remember. Which rather implies that we might be working with the Titans rather than against them. Is this just wild tinfoil hat speculation, or is there something more to that?
It's good tinfoil hat speculation. It's not that wild. But the Titans, it's very. I think they're most interesting when they're cryptic. They do kind of think at the level of gods, and so when you talk to the Titans or the Titan Keepers, you never really get the full story. Like you never really quite know what they're talking about. So Rathion's dialogue is relevant, but also it could mean a lot of different things. And actually, I think that speculation is cool as people try and figure out what it actually means, and what has Ra discovered down there? Raden, what has he discovered or learned that has made him so miserable, and what does he mean by doomed course? And I think that's awesome to speculate about, and I think that that's all very, very relevant and very relevant to the future of the franchise.
Okay, Dave says it's cool speculation, so I'll leave that up to the viewers for interpretation. Talking more about Rodden, in his audio files, it talks about a yawning chasm of darkness. Is that a hint at the old gods returning?
It could be a couple different things. So I'll let you speculate as to what he could mean by the yawning chasm of darkness. I hear people making agonized groans in the background, which is kind of awesome.
I don't know where that's coming from, actually.
That's great. Well, as I just said with the other question, I mean, it's interesting when it's cryptic because it could mean several different things, and it is super relevant. But it's up to the tinfoil hats to try and piece together what all these pieces mean.
I wonder if Mantid would be working alongside them. I wonder if he's wearing a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, well, certainly Mantid have said, and if you complete I encourage people to complete Mantid or the Klaxi faction to Exalted, because there's a couple of neat little lore moments at the end if you're really into the lore. They take you down. I think it's actually Kilrook who takes you down into the underneath their burrow there and shows you sort of carvings of old gods and says, like, these are our gods. We've been here a long time. Our gods aren't your gods. If they ever come back, we're gonna be on their side. All
right, another Rodden question. Everybody wants to know. People are desperate to just know about this guy. Do we not actually kill him? Because his data mine files it indicates that we don't actually finish him off.
Rodden is he's an unlockable boss. You can only beat him if you're good enough to beat or you can only even fight him if you're good enough to beat the Thunder King on heroic, and I believe he's a heroic only fight. So I want to let people actually have to. Someone has to beat him heroic before we really talk about it. So I'll let players discover that, because it's way buried. This is only the best of the best players will be able to defeat that encounter. So,
how about let me ask you this from a storyteller point of view? How do you feel like this whole new approach is working for you and keeping players updated with the lore of the current content? It's definitely a step away from sort of the cutscene heavy methods of previous expansions. Do you like this new method?
Good, yeah. I think we sort of got the ability to put cutscenes in the game with Cataclysm, and then experimented with it. I think in a lot of places we were kind of overboard with it, and that didn't feel good for the gameplay. So we definitely pulled back, and there's a couple key cutscene moments, like the statue in the Jade Forest, the serpent's heart. There's like key moments that we decide, well, we'll go big, we'll go full on cinematic with those, and then otherwise we try and really rein in whenever we take away control of your character. I think that works a lot better from a story perspective. If I answer your question from a bigger, like if we step back and answer your question from a bigger perspective, like how is it unveiling the story over the series of patches, like how is that working out? I think it's been tremendous. It's been extremely cool, and it's also a continual ongoing challenge for us, the developers, to figure out how to best tell the story with gameplay in each patch. For example, like a lot of players are asking me, and they've been tweeting, and they've been asking, well, what's up with Sylvanas? What's Sylvanas doing? We have so many characters, and we have so many things going on, but we don't want to we want to make sure that anytime we talk about something that we have gameplay around it. Like we want it to be based around gameplay, and so we have to sort of pick and choose which moments we think have really cool gameplay that can have some a story built around it. And we can't tell all the stories that we want to tell, especially since we're committed to delivering these patches on a much quicker time frame. We've done a really good job of patch 5.1 was a couple months after release. Patch 5.2 will be about a couple of months after the previous patch. That means we have to be really picky about what we think we can make good content for and what we can show. And it's been a challenge, like how we keep the story moving forward and tie it all together and still maintain that kind of schedule of content delivery that we want to maintain. so tricky. I hope that the players are really digging it and enjoying it. And judging by your questions, they're looking ahead and excited to see what happens next. So that's
They
good.
are.
That's really
They
good.
are.
Yeah.
Following up really quick on that, and this will be the last question because I know your time's limited today. There's another reader question, and it kind of follows into what you were just speaking of. Is they said the Draenei and the Blood Elves they feel like basically footnotes at best. Other leaders, playing a role in Azeroth at this point, but they kind of want to know, will we see their stories more fleshed out?
Yeah, it goes back to what I just said, which is it's hard to we want to flesh everybody out, but
Focus.
we don't have time. Yeah, so we definitely I always felt like the Blood Elves kind of got the shaft in that their leader was Kel'Thas, and we spent a lot of time with Kel'Thas, and then we killed him. And nobody knew who Lorthamar was before patch 5.1. I bet you only 1 in 10 people could even name the Blood Elf faction leader. Hopefully we fixed that. Hopefully with Blood Elves kind of got to get to know a little bit about their faction leader, kind of got to know what his deal is, got to really interact and see what's going on, and get to feel like they have a cool faction leader and potential future war chief. So we had the opportunity and some time to focus on Blood Elves. If you play Draenei, I totally feel you. You want the same thing, and so it might not happen with the next few patches, but I do want to revisit Draenei at some point in a way that they can really feel much more engaged with what's going on. With the Draenei backstory, it's hard to have, there's not going to be huge Draenei cities in Azeroth. There's not going to be giant Draenei populations in Azeroth. And that makes it kind of hard to showcase Draenei content. But
your day will come. They will get there.
Yeah,
your Draenei Blood Elf days will get there. Dave Kosak, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Love the show. Love what you guys are doing.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. And for all your video game news, keep it locked and dialed into Gamebreaker.tv all day, every day. And of course, watch Legendary, our weekly World of Warcraft show right here on Gamebreaker TV every Thursday at 8 PST. We'll see you next time.